Welcome to this month's Small Biz Virtual Summit. My name is Ken Massa, and I am here with Chuck Boyce. Today, we're bringing on a variety of guests that cover topics in everyday problems that we face within the business world. But our guests are experts in creating solutions to these challenges. And these challenges may be everyday problems that you're facing as a business owner, an entrepreneur, or someone that works in a very amazing business, but you face problems that we all face. Here is a way where you can find those solutions, where you can listen to those who have experienced the same things that you're going through, and even come up with a solution that may work for you. You've probably heard before the comment that it is important to put the right butts in the right seats. But even more so, it's important to create the right staffing for your company in order to drive sales further, drive operations further. Today's guest has a way to not only put the right butts in the right seats, but to come up with a modern solution that solves problems around labor shortages or potentially putting the right people in the right positions. I'd like to introduce Andrew Miner, who has a presentation today that talks about all of these topics and the use of modern technology and AI to solve these problems.
Most business owners today struggle with generating consistent leads at an affordable cost. Facebook, Google, direct mail, all those companies are grabbing a bigger piece of our marketing budget, but everyone knows that. That's obvious. The real problem that a lot of the gurus fail to mention is that there's a massive labor shortage plaguing small businesses right now. And it's been very hard to find and keep good talent, and it seems to only be getting worse. That means the phones keep ringing, but nobody is available to answer it. Or worse, if they do answer the phone, can you trust that they have the knowledge and discipline to follow through with the sale? Or will the employee follow up at all? Now there's a better way, a faster way, a fail-safe way to handle customer inquiries 24/7, 365 days a year using AI. And you can now pull cash out of your dead lead lists even if they haven't been contacted in months or years. So your old leads can go from flaccid, cold to white hot in a matter of seconds. Now, there are often piles of money sitting inside of your business untapped, often in the form of lead lists that have just been sitting around gathering dust for years, or there's opportunity in the time it takes to respond to inquiries. We also call that the speed to lead. So now there's a new way to extract that revenue without having to hire more people or buy expensive software or pay for more marketing. Sorry, should I keep rolling, or did you guys want to jump in there?
Keep rolling. If you mess up in any way, shape, or form, this is all going to be edited. So feel free to just kind of keep rolling if you mess up at all. Just gonna pick up from where you were.
You want to make this more conversational?
We can. I can just keep going into it if you guys want.
Yeah, just go into it unless you have questions for us. If you do, just call us and say, "Hey guys, what do you think about that or whatnot?" And then we'll pop back in. But we're just gonna let you go.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah.
So regarding the labor shortage, I speak to hundreds of business owners every single month across the country, across North America, and they're all telling me the same thing, which is they're having a really hard time keeping employees, keeping good employees. They're having a hard time hiring, and many of these owners are lamenting the fact that they can't find good people, and they're concerned about the future of their business. But then I talked to some very sharp business owners who, sure, they lament the fact that they have a hard time keeping even the younger staff or just their employees in general. But they're also seeing an opportunity because they know that everyone's affected by the same thing. This is post-pandemic. We're all dealing with the same circumstances, and the smart owners are realizing there's technology they can tap into that can augment those employees and sometimes replace them entirely. And some people are uncomfortable with that conversation because they think it's taking jobs away, but it's just the reality of the world we live in now. We have amazing technology at our fingertips. It's the owners, the managers who can implement it, find the right people to implement it, are the companies that are going to keep the doors open, but also thrive and potentially dominate their local, regional, national market. So there is there's a motivation problem as well, not just staffing, keeping people on payroll, keeping butts in seats, but there's also a motivation problem with a lot of the current generation. They're burnt out. They're being influenced by social, telling people to kind of just post up and cool their heels, and they won't get fired, or they'll just job hop, they'll bounce job to job. And that's also an issue, is keeping people motivated to do their job and do a good job. And that's a human problem. And oftentimes we can't solve the human problem for certain people. They'll never get over the hump of realizing they have to work hard, or at least do their job. So that's one thing we all need to be cognizant of. And the other problem we're seeing across a lot of businesses is the time it takes to speak to a prospect. And this is it's called the 5-minute rule. A lot of people are familiar with this, and there is a company, or the owner of a company called Nextiva. It's a big telecom. He's a friend of a friend, and he said his number one sales advantage, the reason why they're successful, is because they speak to every single lead within 5 minutes, and oftentimes they try to get to them within a minute. But 5 minutes is the max. It is unacceptable. It is a policy that they cannot cross over that 5-minute line, because they know what happens once a prospect crosses over the 5-minute line. There's a high likelihood they'll just disappear. They'll go to a competitor, or they'll oscillate back to not taking an action, or not following through with whatever they were planning on buying. So speed to lead is critical, and not just for a company like Nextiva, but for any company, a small local business. When you think about when you buy a pizza, if they don't answer the phone, well, you're just going to call the next pizza shop and see if they answer the phone and can make you a pizza. And then the other big problem is actually following up with prospects. So once a prospect comes into your door, or they come into your CRM, if somebody has spoken to them, they're interested in buying whatever you sell, if it's a product or a service or both. But they might need a little bit of extra hand-holding, and they might need a little bit more time. What happens, and I'm sure we're all familiar with this, is there's just a big drop-off. Salespeople or customer service people tend to be focused on what is right in front of them, the leads that are coming in now, the phone that's ringing now, and it's for good reason, because usually the person you're on the phone with now is more likely to buy than the person who was on the phone a week ago or 2 weeks ago, because they just get colder and colder and colder and colder. So there's a labor shortage, there's a motivation problem, there's a problem with speed to lead, or activating people immediately once they call or fill out a form on your website, and then actually following up with those prospects as they come in.
Andrew, I think pretty much everybody on that's watching today can appreciate that. I don't know that there's any segment of the economy that is not being impacted by these shortages, by the shift in attitudes towards work. So what's something that a business owner can start doing today to kind of put them back on track?
Well, besides making it a priority amongst your staff that you have to do the things that I just mentioned, which is touch people within 5 minutes of them calling your company, or texting, or filling out a form, or making sure that every single lead is followed up with as though it was your last lead you ever had in your life, creating urgency. I mean, that obviously is the first thing I would do if I were in your shoes, anyone listening. But the other thing is taking it past the human problem, and like I mentioned previously, is augmenting that or potentially replacing it. So we have at our fingertips now incredible technology, which everyone is familiar with AI now. Everyone's heard of ChatGPT, or Google's Gemini, or Anthropic, Claude, and all these companies are on this arms race now to create these bigger and better large language models, or AI systems. And we've crafted, we've discovered, we've created a way to put this into a small business or medium-sized business context of sales activation, prospect activation, and there are a few ways that it can be applied. So the smart business owners are now saying, I need to use AI. It's not just a nice to have, it's a must have. And we truly are living in the future. It's already here. We're already using it. Many of the largest companies are already employing this on the front end of their business and the back end. They're replacing huge teams of business development reps, sales development reps, replacing call centers of people that are, let's say, offshore in Latin America or the Philippines. They're eliminating the language barrier, the language gap that we have when you have offshore talent speaking to your prospects here in America or North America. That is the wave of the future. That is here now. So
right, but Andrew, we're really focused at the small business, and sure, the big companies, they've got engineers and developers and super smart people, and in some cases of like the Fortune 1000, nearly endless budgets to put towards this and implementing this technology into our business. But I when we talk to small business owners, they'd all love to get into AI, but they're just so overwhelmed by all of the options and figuring out, what's the best, most cost-effective, easiest to implement solutions for my business.
Sure. Good question. Good point. It has taken us many thousands of dollars to figure this out. Many people, we've brought in a lot of experts to build this system so that people don't have to go do what we did and trial by error make this work for a small business. But what we do as a company, we offer this as a service, but it's not like hiring an agency where you have to go fork out $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of a deposit, and then you need $20,000 a month in ad spend to pay to Google or Facebook, which you may already be doing. This is the opposite of that. What we do is we actually make it brain dead simple as we come in and partner with companies on a pure performance basis. So to use AI it doesn't need to be scary or it doesn't need to cost a lot of money. In fact, with us, it doesn't cost any money to do this, to explore it. And we go in and run this for different brands, different small businesses on a performance basis. So that's the cost side of it. It's not scary. It's accessible to pretty much anyone as long as they have phone calls coming in the door, or they're already running marketing to their business.
Well, that's
some of the ways this is.
Well, that sounds pretty amazing. Can you kind of walk me through what that process looks like and what a business owner should expect when they engage with your team?
Yeah, it's very simple.
We like simple. We definitely like simple around here.
So do we. And in fact, we've simplified it so much that we have a very, very simple engagement process, and we just grab coffee. We grab coffee over a Zoom call or over the phone, and we chat about the current state of business, the ambitions of the company, and then we look at ways where AI can be implemented inside of that business. And it's not always a great fit. Oftentimes it is, because a lot of businesses, as you mentioned in the beginning, are dealing with the exact same things we've talked about today. They're letting leads fall through the door, fall through the cracks. They're not answering the phone fast enough, or they've got massive databases of what they would call dead leads. And there's a big opportunity to come in and revive those leads. In fact, we call it waking up the dead, or waking up your dead lead list with the kiss of life. So imagine you have Princess
Snow White, yeah. Or I've got a daughter, so I went Snow White.
Not the Princess Bride, yeah, Snow White. I don't know why I thought too many princesses are being confused here. Snow White is asleep, and Prince Charming comes in and gives her a kiss and wakes her up. Imagine your list of dead or seemingly dead prospects. They're just sitting there waiting to be reactivated. And the beautiful thing is our AI can do that on autopilot 24 hours a day. And we are seeing Go ahead.
So who is really your ideal business? What type of business? Is there a specific industry? Is there a specific size that is going to get the best results from working with your team?
Yes. Mid-sized businesses, mid to larger small businesses are typically the best because they've got volume. So if you have a small ice cream shop, yes, you could apply this, but it's probably not the best fit for you. But if you have an HVAC company, a roofing company, a real estate company where you're doing high volume, and you're getting a lot, you're doing radio ads, TV ads, you're getting a lot of eyeballs to your website, and a lot of people filling out forms or calling you, those tend to be the best companies that get the most use out of this, or at least they see the results the fastest. But it almost doesn't matter. It's really a matter of testing it. And what we're seeing is, on average, we're getting, let's say we're going to wake up a dead lead list. We're getting 30% response rates on the first text message. And by the way, we often do this primarily through texting people. Okay. It's the best, most personal channel to reach people versus email or direct mail, even though those are great. And we imply those as well, that those come in second and third in order. But text messages are the fastest way to get somebody to wake up. But there's a very specific way we do it, which is hyper conversational. And we're getting these people to basically identify themselves and say, yes, I'm still the person that called you, and I still have the problem. And when we run this with a company, we'll typically see a 30% response rate, and sometimes 5 to 10% conversion rate, like back to a sale, just off of the first text message, just off the first little sequence. But we'll also let this run. This is another point I was going to bring up, is when we talk about motivation, most humans don't have the wherewithal to follow up with somebody. They also don't have the bandwidth. They can't physically do it. It's impossible to just keep texting and managing thousands of conversations with one person. But our one AI bot which we call the humanoid, can just keep running nonstop, 24 hours a day, can just keep texting people all the way to sometimes the 12th message. Sometimes we'll get to 12 messages and a person will say, yes, I'm interested, hook me up. Or, well, we did this with a mortgage broker recently. We reactivated his list, and one gentleman was contacted 5 years ago, and he was so impressed. He said, wow, I can't believe you remembered me 5 years later. Yes, I'm looking for a house right now, and I need a mortgage. Boom. But who is going to go back 5 years on their own list? Almost nobody is going to do that, and that's the power of using AI.
Right. So when you say that there's piles of cash, I've been quoted saying similar things, that we're tripping over diamonds to pick up dimes, and it's so true. There's so much data within companies. Having a tool like this to help us then monetize that is truly powerful. So can you give us an example of kind of a project? Obviously you don't have to name names, but can you kind of walk us through kind of what some of the numbers or kind of what some of the results could have been or could be for a business or one that you've worked with?
Yeah. So one. Let's think of an example that I can share, where I can at least share the numbers. So there's one business recently, they had 20,000 leads in their database, and that they wanted us to reactivate. These are ones that they'd given up for dead. They said, our team has called these and emailed these leads. They're not responding anymore. So we'll give them over to you and let your AI run with it, because there's no risk to do that. On that list in particular, we got a 30% response rate, and we actually closed 10% of those respondents actually came back and converted with this company. And this all happened within 30 days of us running the reactivation. And that's just the first phase of it. The next phase is taking the rest of those people that didn't respond or didn't convert, and we keep pushing them through we call them bump phases, where we have little nudges. They're kitschy and they're non-adversarial. They're not aggressive. They're just fun little ways to get people to raise their hand finally after, like I said, sometimes it takes 12 messages. And then we had gone through the rest of that list and converted another 3% of the ones that didn't respond off of the first go around. And this company, I mean, their average order value is $5,000. So I'll let everyone here. I don't have all the numbers right in front of me. It's not good to do public math.
Yeah, nobody wants to do math in public.
It's a decent sized, average order value business. $5,000 is, pretty solid. And these are all people coming back for basically their top end service. But then those people now are their actual buyers. So now they're a customer of theirs, and now they move into a different phase of the relationship, which is, a longer term customer with more things they can upsell as time goes on.
Right. So
this was a list that they thought was dead, gone. They'd spent, tons of money to acquire all of these prospects, and they just gave them up until we came along.
Right. It sounds like it could be useful not only for the kind of the dead leads and pulling a Lazarus on them, but it sounds like if I was a professional service provider, say, a dentist, a CPA, or anyone where I'm not booking my repeat business, where I have old patients or old clients that I haven't heard from, I haven't reached out to. It sounds like your system could be really effective in bringing back those clients and patients that I previously had a relationship with as well.
Absolutely. In fact, I was just on a big conference call with one of the largest pest control companies in America just a week ago, and we were talking about this, reactivating their dead leads. And their VP of marketing said, "That's cool. We've done some win back campaigns in the past. We've thought about trying to reactivate our dead leads." But she said our most important thing, that she saw the use case of cross-selling their existing customers. She said, this could be a game changer for us to take our existing buyers who might only have a regular pest control subscription, and we can upsell them, cross-sell them to, a mosquito control or a rat control or whatever other services are appropriate for that person. And the amazing thing about this is our AI can have the full conversation with somebody about their existing problems. Do they have a rat problem, mosquito problem? Do they have a termite problem? It can just flow with the person, just like a good salesperson here in the United States can do with someone, but it costs a fraction, on the back end versus paying someone to sit in a seat all day and call these people.
That makes sense.
So
I think that the cross-selling part makes a lot of sense as well, because and then when you start to look at lifetime value of customers, right, making sure that you're tapping into them consistently to, let's say they have an annual service, or if there's a frequent service. Like one thing I think of is maybe like an HVAC company that offers a maintenance program, and then they can use the AI to reach back out to the customers to do a check-in and tee that back up to schedule the potential customer back on the schedule for their annual, checkup or at-home consultation or whatnot. So I think that's really good. The one question that I have is there typically a certain number of leads that a company needs in order to get started with this process? Let's say it's a smaller company and they don't have 20,000 leads. Is there a number that you're looking for to make sure that you can run this program?
Yeah, we have ideal minimums, but it really depends on the business. So even if you had, let's say you had 5,000 dead leads or expired leads, if those leads are ultra high value, if this is not a restaurant or more of like a small transactional business, but let's say you are an HVAC company or you're a roofer, then those leads are really valuable. Each deal is typically in the tens of thousands, or at least 5,000, like the other example. So a small list with high average order value is great, but ideally the bigger the better. If you have at least 10,000 leads in your database, there's a lot of gold in there. It's worth us installing our system and investing in that process and only getting paid when somebody converts. That's how our business operates, is purely on performance. So for us, that's what we're looking for. Big list, if it's a medium size ticket on your transaction value, or we're okay with a smaller list if you have high average order value, high lifetime value customers.
That makes sense.
Cool. So Andrew, it seems like you're working with a bunch of different types of businesses. I think one of the questions our viewers might have is, how do you train your system to know the difference between rat control, restaurants, hormone replacement, chiropractic, and dental?
Great question, because that can be a problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking to get my teeth cleaned, and they start asking me about my rat problem.
Yeah. Are you seeing termite droppings in your house? What is that? I'm looking for a crown replacement. Yeah, we're very we're agnostic on the industries. We're very experienced as a team across a multitude of verticals. And me personally, I've worked with thousands and maybe tens of thousands of companies across every industry you can imagine. So I've rarely been stumped on subject matter. But even if I'm not that great, or I don't know your whatever widget company that's ultra specific, and maybe you do like laser cutting for titanium that goes on the F-35 jet or something. I mean, there's very specific terminology there. That's
Probably
okay,
not a
because
lot of phone leads coming in for that service, I would imagine.
Correct. Yeah, they obviously wouldn't be a great fit anyway. But take any industry, we're still going to run through a conversation period with the owner. So what I was going to mention is our bot is best when we can teach it to speak just like the owner of the business, or just like the best salesperson of the business. So even though I could probably step in and do it myself, I could probably speak better about selling pest control than even the people that I'm sharing the screen with, or selling the house fast. I still don't want to do that. We'll take all the conversations we can. We use those to help train their specific bot. Every bot we build is unique to each business. So this company, I'm sharing a screen of a company in San Diego that sells homes, or they buy homes, and they will get very specific messaging. And anyone who gets engaged by our bot is going to be, they're going to feel like the conversation, it matches their radio ads, or it matches their Facebook ads or their TV ads. It matches the brand tone of voice, and it matches the owners. If the owners are involved in the business, it's going to sound like them, because we want to replicate the best salesperson in the business, which is usually the owner or the best salesperson. So that's how we solve that problem. Which is really not just a matter of training our system.
Right. So are you uploading documents, videos, audios? Is it an interview process? How much work is it for the owner to get you that information to make sure that their bot is speaking like them?
It can be a lot of work if there's not a lot of existing recorded information.
Sure.
But usually we can get it done in one interview, because we know the right questions to ask. Of course, we're always keeping it in the context of a sales conversation, or a initial prospect touch point. So what are the biggest problems that their customers are facing? What are the most common things they bring up? We always go through those questions. And then what are the unique aspects of their business? What is their unique selling proposition, their definitive selling proposition? Or can we layer any of that in? And then any of the industry jargon. So we run through those very quickly, and usually do it in one interview. But sometimes we can just glean that information from recorded conversations, so that sometimes the owner doesn't even have to get on the call with us, unless they really want to, and they're excited about the process, and they want the bot to put its best foot forward, so they might give us extra information.
Now, let's say that the bot has a question come in where it stumps that let's say it stumps the bot in its tracks because it's not programmed already, or it's come up with maybe someone has something a little bit out there. Is there a way for the bot to tee up the conversation for an internal person to pick up the conversation and then kind of segue that or take control of it outside of that in the event that it can't respond.
Absolutely. And we've trained our bots to never get too deep in the weeds with a prospect, because we don't want the bot to be the actual final salesperson. We want the bot to be the business development rep, the administrative. So it always defers to being an administrative person in the company, not the salesperson. So that way the prospect can't pressure them for, what's your best price, or how many can you sell me, or any of those things will always get pushed over to a salesperson. And this is the beauty of it, is the bot is there to reactivate. It's to get them back on the horn, but move them down the line and qualify, get some information out of them, get the right information, and then say, do you want us to call you? Do you want someone from our team to call you? And are you available in the next 5 minutes? And this is when it works the best, is when you have people available at the very bottom of the phone. This is what salespeople want. Salespeople want hot leads. That's why our company is called White Hot Leads. A salesperson only wants to talk to their best leads. So they don't want to deal with looky-loos, tire kickers, time wasters. So when a hot lead comes in, they go, yeah, give me that hot lead. So we turn those dead people or the sleeping leads into hot leads, and then we want that salesperson to call them within 5 minutes. So that's how our system works, is it kicks that over to the internal system, a CRM, or sometimes it's a very simple spreadsheet. However, we work with different companies. Then the salespeople are notified that a hot lead is on the line. Call them right now. Here's their phone number. Or we say, and our bot can schedule the call with them, not sending them to a calendar link, which is very impersonal, but actually conversing with them and saying, when is the best time for you tomorrow? What times are you available? It looks like we can speak with you at 10 a.m. or 11:30 your time. Does that work? And the person says, yeah, I'm available at 10. Can you call me then? Great. And then our bot sends them an email, and the bot says, great, check your email just to make sure you got it. Someone from our team is going to call you at 10 a.m. your time. Be ready by the phone. And this is how we're reactivating people, and we can avoid getting broken. A lot of people try to break, bots by testing their metal, and we don't go there. We don't go down that road. And our team will always, and I say our team, I mean our bot will always defer to being an administrative staff. They don't have the ability to even answer that question if it gets in the weeds.
Yeah, it's no surprise that the AI model is very intelligent, and then when you train it, it's now intelligent within the field that your business serves. How long is the ramp up period, or what does the timeline look like to train the model or to get this in place that fits your business? Because we all know that training as a whole, whether it's an employee or let's say you subcontract something, the training process and hiring process for typical employees is pretty drastic, and we've all heard that it could be very expensive for businesses. So what does the timeline typically look like for an AI bot that's going to basically replace the salesperson or the representative that's teeing up these conversations for your sales team?
I'm glad you asked, because it can sound daunting. Training an AI model, it sounds like something that takes years to do. And of course it did before we have what we have now, which is ChatGPT and Gemini and stuff. It took a long time to train them because the AIs can go off the rails, and they call it hallucinating, where an AI will just start speaking gibberish. Well, we've clamped all that down, and we have very tight guardrails on what can be said, and it will never go outside of those guardrails. But we still obviously need to we train them on the flow and the patterns of conversation with each specific business. But it really only takes us about a week to be fully up and running.
Wow.
And confident that our bot is not going to be broken. It cannot be broken. It's going to speak just like the best salesperson or just like the best business development rep every single time, whether it's 1 a.m. or 10 p.m, lunchtime. It doesn't matter. It's just going to have that consistency, even though it's still nuanced. It's still going to have a unique conversation with every single person. We can do that in a week. And the other thing is we're not. It's never 100% hands off. A lot of people think, oh, great, I can just push a button and I have AI installed in my business. Well, it is true for our partners, like the business owners. They don't have to think about it, but our team augments our own AI. No matter what, we will always sit there and stare at the conversations, and we'll make sure that nothing is breaking on our side. We're not sending incorrect information or doesn't hallucinate. Even though we've trained it, we still make sure that our humans are augmenting that. But we also, there's one other thing I was going to say, and I totally forgot.
Maybe I'll remember it when I ask this last question. Before we wrap up, the last question that I have is, if someone was listening to this today and they wanted to leave with something, what do you think is the most valuable piece, or what do you want them to get out of the content that you provided today to then be able to add value to their business moving forward?
I think the most important thing is to embrace the technology. It's scary to think about it for a lot of people. It's just if they don't understand it, then it can be daunting to think, how do I install this in my business? And that's why we've come alongside and partnered with a lot of different businesses, because we're just taking that whole burden off of their plate of
recording stopped.
Oh, we're stopped.
No, you're good.
No, I think you're good. I think that was one of the bots.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's one of our bots that I thought I fixed. More work for Ty.
Yeah. So the daunting aspect of installing a technology like AI and being able to trust it is a non-factor for business owners, because we handle the whole kit and caboodle. We run the entire thing soup to nuts. And so I would say the most important thing is, if you want to grow and if you want to be stabilized in this weird economy that we have, and if you don't want to be reliant on the 23-year-old employee who might just decide to quit tomorrow and go to Bali, if you want to be insured from that or padded a little bit, then I would say explore this. And it's not something that everyone has to do, but if people want to do it, what we offer is a free consultation to see if it does make sense for your business. If it doesn't, we can give some tips on how to maybe dip your toe in the water, test some things yourselves. But that's what I would recommend is start exploring this new frontier, which is the now. It's happening. People using it they're winning like gangbusters. I mean, really, the world is ours if you can attach this to your business.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and shedding light on how you're implementing AI technology into businesses to create more efficient models to converting sales for any type of business in any avenue. I think that can open up a lot of opportunities for business owners or people that are sales managers as well, because, well, being more efficient is never a bad thing in sales, and responding to leads as quickly as possible is literally going to add so much value to a business. And then on top of that, continuing to recirculate back to old leads and continue to drive further sales from leads that have come in the past. So we really appreciate your insight on the topic, and we loved having you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.